Hello, I'm Simon Whistler. You're watching TopTenzNet, and in the video today, the top 10 must-see tourist attractions in the Czech Republic. Let's start with a quick game. Hands up everyone who has been to the Czech Republic. Alright, great, now keep your hands up if you went to literally anywhere other than Prague. Well, I'm betting that a lot of hands just dropped right now. Yep, the Czech Republic, officially known as Czechia, but known as Česko at home and Czech Republic nearly everywhere else, is an odd one. Its capital, Prague, is one of the most visited cities on Earth, logging more tourists in 2016 than Miami. Yet the rest of it remains shamefully underexplored. And while its teeny size of 78,866 square kilometers, smaller than South Carolina, means there ain't much space for off-trail wandering. What is there, though, manages to pack as much of a punch as countries 5 times its size. If you think Czech Republic is just Prague and beer after you visit the places in this video, you may want to think again. Number 10. Karlštejn Castle. Ah, castles. Well, the Czech Republic has them in spades and then some. First as the independent kingdom of Bohemia, the western part of Czech Republic, then as an outpost of the Holy Roman Empire, and then as part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, Czech Republic saw a spree of castle building even other European nations consider a bit excessive. It's almost the case that you could climb any hill in the country, look in any direction, and see at least half a dozen spectacular examples of defensive architecture. So what's the most spectacular of all of these multitude of castles? Well, that would be Karlštejn. Founded by the Holy Roman Emperor Charles IV in 1365, Karlštejn is barely a stone's throw from Prague, assuming that your average stone throwing range is about 30 kilometers. But never mind that, because you should definitely check out this incredible castle. It's one of the most fairy tale-like structures ever built, and Karlštejn is both beautiful and authentic. Surrounded by thick forest, it rises unstoppably above the canopy, a collection of turrets and towers that could act as a setting for any Disney film. Though given how unbelievably cold the area gets in winter, you'll probably feel that film is frozen too. Number 9. The City of Olomouc. Okay, it's time to leave the orbit of Prague and strike out east for the country's lesser visited side. Czech Republic is comprised of 2 distinct regions, Bohemia in the west and Moravia in the east. Classically, Moravia is the lesser visited of the two. This is despite its reputation for fine wines and finer walking. Indeed, it's long been seen as the ugly stepsister to Bohemia's Cinderella. Yet Moravia has at least one jewel in its crown that could give even Bohemia a run for its money: the Baroque city of Olomouc. Lonely Planet called Olomouc the Czech Republic's best-kept secret, and it's easy to see why. A vibrantly coloured old town surrounding a vast cathedral and topped off by not one but 2 meandering cobblestoned town squares, Olomouc is the kind of city visitors to Europe always dream of seeing. Plus, it's still undiscovered enough that you won't have to find jerkbag tourists clutching selfie sticks for the best view. The centerpiece is the Holy Trinity column, an 18th century stone marvel that tops out at 35 meters, that's 114 feet, and is listed by UNESCO. Number 8. The Sedlec Ossuary. About an hour outside of Prague, Sedlec Ossuary first shot to fame in the 14th century when a local abbot scattered soil from the Holy Land across the cemetery. 30,000 people clamored to be buried there, and as a result, over the following century, Sedlec became the hippest burial place in Central Europe. This led to something we're going to euphemistically call overcrowding, and the monks eventually decided something needed to be done with all the excess bones. So, in 1870, they hired a guy called František Rint and asked him to work his magic. In Rint's case, that evidently meant black magic, because he took one look at the overcrowded ossuary and decided to turn it into a house made of human bones. Today, Sedlec is a macabre masterpiece made out of 40,000 skeletons, all arranged into decorations that are either fascinating or horrifying, depending on how highly you rank on the goth scale. There are bone chandeliers, bone shelves, bone candle holders, and a skeleton of a crow made out of the skeletons of humans. Number 7. Loket Old Town. If the tiny town of Loket in Bohemia seems familiar to you, don't worry, you're not accidentally regressing to a past life as a Czech villager. Loket is the location where Casino Royale was filmed, along with nearby Karlovy Vary. The movie is actually set in Montenegro, but whatever, right? That means you can sit out on the main square by the fountain and be quietly smug in the knowledge that Daniel Craig's buttocks once shared that very space. But wait, you might be saying, because maybe you never saw Casino Royale. Well, fear not, hypothetical interrupter, because there's more going for Loket than just whatever traces of Daniel Craig's DNA might be lying around. The old town is knockout gorgeous, what with its winding cobblestone streets and castle perched above a sinuously curving river. Plus, there's the annual motocross race and opera festival, though they don't occur at the same time, sadly. The whole shebang lies at the most extreme western point of the Czech Republic, 140 kilometers from Prague and practically hugging the German border. Its history is so clearly Teutonic that it was even used as a location in All Quiet on the Western Front. Number 6. Hruboskalsko Rock Towers. Right, we've covered cities, towns and boneyards, but so far we're missing something kind of important. Ask most Czechs what they're most proud of in their country and they'll most likely answer the nature. The Czech countryside is the sort of place Goldilocks would go nuts for. It's not too mountainous, it's not too flat, it's not too wild, it's not too tamed, it's not too forested, and it's not too agrarian. In other words, it's just right. All of which makes our task of picking just one place from this gentle, rolling, picture-perfect landscape somewhat difficult. We'll spare you the agonies that went into our decision. To find this strange wilderness of rock skyscrapers, you first need to go to Ceský Krumlov, the first national park in the Czech Republic. Founded in the 1950s, it's small even compared to such parks in Britain. But when you've got these great rock monsters to marvel over, well, who's measuring? As a bonus, if you walk there, you'll get to experience all that countryside we were waxing lyrical about earlier. Number 5. Mikulov. Right down at the bottom of Moravia, so southerly that it's literally bumping up against the Austrian border, sits a town designed to give your optic nerves quivers of joy. Mikulov is the sort of ancient hill town other ancient hill towns wished they looked like. The Chris Pratt of the ancient hill town world, if you will. Perched high above the best vineyards in the entire country, did we mention it's on a hill, this Baroque delight is like all the best bits of the Czech Republic rolled into one place. For one thing, it's beautiful, with a blend of Italian and local architecture that's earned it the nickname the Italian Pearl of Moravia. For another, its surroundings are second to none. In a single bike trip, you can cycle over the protected limestone plateau of Palava, kick back in one of Pavlov's historic wine cellars, visit the Grand Chateau of Lednice and Valtice, and cross the UNESCO-protected park linking them, a delicately sculpted landscape known as the Garden of Europe. Well, what else can we say here? Except, perhaps, that you should go to Mikulov. Number 4. Ostrava's industrial ruins. Despite its international reputation as a place of castles, beer and pretty old towns, see basically everything we mentioned so far, it's worth remembering not all of Czech Republic comes from the Disney Guide to Quaint. It's a working country with a large working class and a history of heavy industry. In the far eastern city of Ostrava, right on the Polish border, those unlikely traits manage to combine into something that's all sorts of spectacular. Witkowice is out of a dystopian sci-fi film. It's a city of girders, decaying ironworks, giant blast furnaces, and industrial machinery that's been left to rot. Indeed, it's the sort of place you could imagine the next Blade Runner sequel being filmed. Try walking through here on a winter weekday when there's no one else around, and you'll probably feel like you've accidentally walked into the aftermath of Armageddon. It should be ugly, but the whole combination is so overwhelming and unique that it goes all the way around to being beautiful again. The best time to go is when the Colours of Ostrava festival is on in July. This is a giant music festival that takes place entirely in the Steel City's ghostly ruins. Number 3. Ceský Krumlov. Ceský Krumlov is the reason Bohemia gets all the love, while poor old Moravia is left sobbing on the sidelines. If there's one thing to venture outside of Prague for in the whole of the Czech Republic, it has to be this little town located in South Bohemia by the Vltava River. A collection of low-lying red-roof Renaissance houses surrounded by a really big and really pink castle, it's the type of town bucket lists were invented for. If you really want to get a grasp of how beautiful this place is, you really have to see how The Lonely Planet raves about it, or pretty much any other guidebook. There are museums galore, winding streets, ancient houses, restaurants where you can eat meals modelled on the food of medieval nobility, shaded parks to sit in beside the river, the list, it goes on. It's like someone distilled the essence of the entire country's best bits into a single town 3 hours outside of Prague. Still, it's all not sweetness and light. Ceský Krumlov is the epicenter of tourist chaos in the Czech Republic, which means visiting often feels like a less pleasant experience. Number 2. Prague's Old Town. Look, we really hate to do this, especially after our opening about how there's more to the Czech Republic than Prague, but, here we are. For all it may rankle Czechs that their capital gets all the attention, for all it may be swarming with waves of tourists determined to make your trip as hellish as possible, for all it may be an absolute cliché, there is no avoiding one salient fact. Prague is a beautiful city. More than that, it's vibrant, exciting, steeped in history, and overwhelmingly grand. Much as we hate to say it, if you're visiting Czech Republic, you really, really need to go to Prague. So where do we even start? We could tell you about the thousands of spires that make the city look like it's reaching to heaven, or maybe we could tell you about the cobblestone squares with their brightly lit Christmas markets, or maybe, you know what, you could just take our advice, and if you're ever visiting Europe, make sure Prague is on your list. Number 1. Brno's nightlife. So this is probably going to ruffle some feathers. Brno is Czech Republic's second city, a sleepy metropolis of 400,000 that doubles as the center of Moravia. Ask anyone from Prague and they'll tell you that it's a pretty-ish place let down by being terminally boring. To which you should probably respond by telling them their information is about 5 years out of date. While Prague's smugly been climbing its way up the most visited cities rank, Brno has been quietly turning itself into the top Czech place for anyone who likes beer, food, coffee, or partying. And we're not joking, Brno is home to the official winner of the Best Bar in Czech Republic awards. It's home to the best cocktail bar in the nation, plus 2 other runners-up in the official top 5. The coffee there wins international awards. Heck, the New York Times wrote Brno's food and drink scene up in an article that probably caused much wailing in Prague. Well, wail all you like, because Brno is now officially where Czech good times are had. From the retro bar který neexistuje, the bar that does not exist, to the ubercool Super Panda Circus, to the award-winning Zelená kočka, which means green cat beer hall, well, Brno has it all. So I really hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please do hit that thumbs up button below, and do not forget to subscribe for brand new videos just like this every day of the week. Also over there on the right, some other videos that you might enjoy if you enjoyed this one. And as always, thank you for watching.